And welcome to another edition of Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio, Philadelphia. Boy, do I love this this town. Even though I'm not going to tell anybody, really, Josh, that I'm from New York City. And I've got Josh here, my engineer and my producer. Josh, how have you been? We got a beautiful day here on a Saturday afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm finally happy to see sun. And in regards to your earlier comment, I would say I grew up in South Jersey, and no one in South Jersey says they're from Jersey. We say we're from Philadelphia.
Oh, you do? Well, that explains why everybody that I meet in South Jersey is always an Eagles fan or a Phillies fan. And if I mention the Devils, okay, or if I mention the Rangers, or if I mention, I get these looks. In fact, one time I wore my Met hat. I was wearing my New York Met hat, and I was over in, I think, Wildwood. It was Wildwood. And all of a sudden, these Phillies guys come over, and they're looking at me. Actually, no, that's not right, because it was a Yankee hat. It was a New York Yankee hat. And he got so upset with me. I'm sitting there, and he's from Philly, and he wore a Philly hat. And I guess it was the summertime. And he came over, and he started yelling at me, "How dare you wear this hat? You are in Philly territory. How dare you?" And he's yelling at me, and he's saying, "We won this. You know, your team stinks. Your team's that. Your team's this," and everything along those lines. And I felt so bad because I'm not even a Yankee fan. It was the only hat I had that day, Josh. Okay? I'm not even a Yankee. I'm a Met fan. I tried out with the Mets in '82. So, you know, if I'm anything, I'm going to be a Mets fan. And he was yelling. I thought we were going to get to a fight. I really thought he was going to, get into a fight with me. And all I'm saying is, look, that's okay. It's fine. But believe it or not, yes, anybody who's in South Jersey is going to be a Philly fan, a 76er fan. They're going to be an Eagle fan, which, by the way, Eagles are amazing right now, so that's fantastic. And on top of that, also in hockey, they're going to be that. And I guess you are an Eagles fan and a Phillies fan and all those, right?
When they're winning, yes.
Oh, my goodness. Are you a fair-weathered fan here? Okay.
Yes.
That's not good. Come on, Josh. You got to stick with them, whether they're good or they're bad. You got to stick with. I mean, okay, I'm an Eagles fan. I have been for a while, but I've always been a Giants fan, too. And the Giants are doing awful. I mean, they're like the worst team in the NFL. Do you see me turning off the television? Okay. When the Eagles were bad, did you see me turn off the television and put on some show or something? I didn't. You can't be a fair-weathered fan, Josh. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. How about the Phillies?
Okay, Phillies I respect. I will always cheer for because I have memories with my dad taking me to my first Phillies game when I was like 8, and that was a fun time. So
Great.
That's the exception to the rule.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, we have two guests with us today. So it's a great show. And I'll tell you something. I remember the days when I used to be in New York and I used to go to a place or try to go to a place called Studio 54. We all know Studio 54. There's movies that have been out about it. And if you lived in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, that was the place to go. If you wanted to meet any major star, Michael Jackson, Billy Joel, Elton John. This is where you went. You went to Studio 54. It was just an amazing, amazing place to go. And you had to really try out. Josh, you just couldn't walk in and say, "I'm here, let me come in." They gave you the once-over. They looked at you. You had to have a certain look about you, okay? And if you didn't have it, that's it. They would not let you in. You could not get away with that now in 2023. But back then, you could do that. And a lot of times, you'd go to this place, the Studio 54, and the best bands will be in there. Unfortunately, there'll be drugs all over the place. And the major, major celebrities of everything were there. If you happen to get in, and I got in once, okay? If you happen to get in, it was like watching, like an amazing event that you'll only see once. It's loud. There are people there. And then you see your stars in different light than when you normally see them on television or radio or whatever. So then the reason why I bring up Studio 54 is this. We've got some great guests. Peggy Lee Brennon, okay, and we'll talk more about Peggy. And also Mark Carullo is here as well. And I want to talk about the fact that They are doing an event at the old Studio 54, and I believe it's 54 Below is what it's called now. And it's an amazing show. I have seen it. I've seen it off Broadway. It is Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam with an incredible cast. Now, I know we're in Philly, but the bottom line is, people in Philly, I'm telling you, this is going to be big. After they do New York, they're going to do Philly. They're going to do all over the place because this is a great show. But if you get a chance to see it, it's amazing. So with me right now, and I'm going to introduce one of the actresses in the show with an amazing background, and that is Peggy Lee Brennon. Peggy, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I have one thing I'd like to say. Are you fans of Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, we have to be, obviously. Why?
Well,
do you know Jalen?
You know why? Our daughter went to University of Alabama.
Oh.
We were not football fans, and her quarterbacks while she was in school, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and Devontae Smith. So we have gone from college football, which we love, to now we follow all of our quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts, there you go.
Hey, listen,
yes,
with
a wonderful young man.
With your celebrity, I'm telling you, Jalen would love to meet you, okay? So we know what we got to do. I mean, we got to get you here as a co-host. You've been on the show 3 or 4 times, okay?
I've been
in the last couple of years.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you should be a co-host. Come on
Guess
in.
What? I was just thinking of that. I was just thinking, I feel like I know you guys very well.
You should be a co-host. You know what we'll do? We'll call your old friend, Jalen Hurtson, and then we'll have him in here in the studio. And maybe, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so for those of you that have not listened to the show, okay, Peggy is a cousin of mine. She is an amazing actress, and you might remember her when she was Lieutenant Linda Nugent, the new nurse on season 7, and that is, of course, MASH. You know, M star, A star, S star, H. And that was the Hot Lips. I think it was the Hot Lips is Back in Town episode.
Name, yeah.
Amazing. You did a fantastic job. Anybody that wants to just put her name in, you're going to see a lot of stuff there on her. Not only that, but she also shared the Broadway stage with Patrick Swayze in Grease. Okay. And if that's not enough, we're talking about a whole bunch of different things. There's a film, it was called Message from Space. Okay. And it was actually a great movie. It was in Japan, and it was like a Star Wars type movie, and it was so cool, you know. And I believe what's his name from was in that movie too.
Vic Morrow and
Vic Morrow was in that movie as well, and remember Vic Morrow from Twilight Zone and a whole bunch of other shows. So you did that. You also did a bunch of things, including, and this, Josh, this is cool. Okay, Mickey Rooney. You hung out with Mickey Rooney and did and worked with Mickey Rooney. Okay, you and your husband, and yes, and the show was called Peg of My Heart. So you have done so much, and I can go on and on about all the people. I mean, if you want to get a name drop, talk with Peggy Lee. She knows everybody in the business. Everybody.
I'm timeless. I've been around long enough. I should.
No, Peggy, you have not been timeless. You are timeless because I tell you what, Josh, you didn't know this, but in 2016. Peggy Lee Brennon, she actually was representing, I believe, Missouri in the Miss Senior America pageant. And guess what, Josh? What do you think? What do you think happened there?
She won, naturally.
That's right. She won. She absolutely won 2016. And I'll tell you, I judged that pageant. Okay, I just recently judged that pageant just this year, and I think I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago on the show. And there were, I guess, 48 women. I guess 2 unfortunately dropped out. Well, I think 1 was in Alaska and 1 was Hawaii for personal reasons. But 48 came down, and you were there. You and your husband Jeff actually were the MCs for the second preliminary, which was done on a Wednesday, and you did a fantastic job. But Josh, I'm telling you, you look at these pictures, okay, and I show people all the time, and they're like, you have to be 60 and over to be in the Miss Senior America pageant, okay? But if you look at Peggy, she's like 38, okay? All right? And it's funny because most of them that do this they look maybe 10, 15, 20 years younger than what you'd expect. And they did fabulously well. So Peggy, you've done so much, and you've met so many people. So, and now you've got the show, which is incredible, which you've been doing. And by the way, they did this at the Jersey Shore not too long ago. They did
Yes, Mike and Mindy's
Mike
Wild
and Mindy's.
Weekend
You
Jam.
did 3 or 4 songs on that, and I got to go on stage with them and sing a little bit of one of the songs, which was pretty cool. I thought I was auditioning, Peggy. I thought you were going to pick me. I thought I was going to be one.
I'm not the casting person. Yes, B-Side Heights. That was so fun.
Oh yes, and those pictures are amazing. You did an amazing job with the ocean in the background and the music and the people that you had.
Fabulous.
It's
Yeah.
great. Well, they're doing it again, folks. Okay.
Yep.
We're going to do it on the 30th. That's going to be November 30th at 7 p.m. at 54 Below. Now, is Mark on the line too? Do we have Mark there as well? Mark Carollo. Did you call Mark? Call Mark for me, okay? That was your job, Josh. Call Mark for me as I keep talking with Peg.
I thought we were going to do her for the second
No,
recording.
nope. He is part of this, okay?
All right.
So there we go. See, these things happen. All right.
It's part of it. It's part of it. It's live radio, live theater.
Yes.
It's part of it.
And it's fine. So that's not a problem. So now let's get to how you met your husband, Jeff. Okay.
I met him in Atlantic City at the Claridge Hotel doing Applause with Phyllis McGuire.
I know. And I think I was there. I
Yes,
was there to see that. I remember my wife, Dory, and I were there. And I remember you introduced me to Jeff. And
Yes.
I remember thinking, I looked over at Dory, I said, they make a pretty good match. They really
Well, do you know what? We get to play husband and wife, Pat and Claire, in Wild Weekend Jam, in Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. We get to play husband and wife, which
Yes.
is so much fun.
It's true. And you also have a rap, too. Don't you have a rap this time around?
Yes. Is Mark on the line? I want to thank Mark personally. Is Mark there yet?
Not yet, but we're getting him. But
Okay, we'll talk about that.
So why don't you give us the background to this production, and of course include Eileen. Obviously, she had a lot to do with it as well. My other cousin. Okay, so describe to me exactly how this all came about. This show, how it is, and the people that you have playing the different roles. Go ahead.
Well, it all started. Eileen and Mark were friends for years. I'm not even sure how they met, but they'd meet once a year. They both wrote, and they'd meet once a year just to talk and kind of, hobnob about what's going on, what are they working on. So then they decided a few years ago, Mark had this project. And he was the creator of it. He's like, I'm working on this project. So they started co-writing together. And they, I'm thinking the first time it was done, maybe around, Mark will be able to tell you better, it was done in a festival, and they got a grant. They got some money because it won awards. And over the years, you'll laugh at this, because you understand when you're working on any project, it's ever evolving, right? Writers are ever rewriting, editing. And my mother would always say, what is going on? Mark and Eileen are they still rewriting? Are they still rewriting, editing, doing this? Well, they are. They have been rewriting, and their script now is so good. So much fun. The characters are fabulous. And then it was a jukebox musical at first. I don't know if you saw it as a jukebox musical. That is when you have music that's already done by other people.
Okay.
But they decided they would do it as with original music, because it's very expensive to pay the rights, all of that. So they asked me, and along with other friends, do you have any friends who are songwriters? And we have a home in Branson, Missouri,
Yes.
So Branson, Missouri is like the theater music capital of the Midwest, and of course there's Nashville in the South. So I put the word out there, and my friend Bucky Hurd, who is a Righteous Brother with Bill Medley, he worked with us in Branson a lot, and Bill Medley also had a home in Branson. Bucky started sending, and Tim, who is the Righteous Brothers musical director for all these years, sending original music to Mark and Eileen. And it's fabulous. And that's how this evolved, where it became a musical with original music. Bucky Hurd and Tim Lee are the composers, and Mike and Mark Corello, who created it, and Eileen are the writers. And we did it, as I do believe you saw it, at the Players Theater
That's
off
right.
Broadway.
I did.
Last year. And then we did a staged reading of it, and now we get to do the concert. We also did Seaside Heights, and we did the concert version. And the wonderful thing about this show, dreams can come true, right? Dreams can come true. It takes perseverance. It takes struggle, but it's a feel-good musical. It's got depth, but it's so inspirational, and it's about a young couple and my son.
Okay.
Jeff and I are Pat and Claire, and we're the cheerleading couple. Our son, Mike, is a singer-songwriter with his wife, Mindy, and we're the ones, you can do it, and then the other parents are the ones who have the plumbing business in Jersey, and it's like, what are you doing? You need a regular job. This is nuts. Give up your dreams. So there's that conflict. It's
That's
very
true.
Inspirational.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you, it's so much fun to talk to you about that. And by the way, Mark Carrillo is on the line. We'll be back with Live on
Mark.
Tape. We'll be back with Live
Hi,
on
everyone.
Tape. I'll try take 3. We'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. And it's a Philadelphia station. I got Josh, my great old, he's not old actually, he's pretty young, producer who does an amazing job here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Great job. And we've got, of course, Peggy Lee Brennon, who is my cousin. I can say this now. The last time I couldn't, Josh, because I was doing a judging thing, and I had to pretend I didn't know her or anybody there. And it was really fun. You know, Peggy, the worst part of this whole thing is, you know, I'm kind of like a romantic person. And for 4 days, thanks to you, I couldn't touch my wife because if I did, they knew we were together. So, and she was a judge as well. So, unfortunately, I had to pretend I didn't know anybody there for 4 or 5
No
days.
private smooches.
No.
PPA.
It was not my typical Atlantic City experience. That's for sure. Okay,
You did well, though.
but we're with Peggy Lee Brennon, and of course, she's done amazing on MASH. Obviously, she's done off Broadway with Patrick Swayze. She's done Message from Space, which was a Star Wars movie that was pretty cool. In addition to that, you did Vegas too, didn't you?
Yes. With does anyone remember the Nicholas brothers? They were the African American tap team who used to do those splits. The brothers of the old movies.
Yes,
and Cab Calloway. So I did Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance. It was a club act that I did with them all over the country in Caesar's Palace and different places. Yes.
just amazing. I think Josh had a question for you. He's been like holding his hand up, so I'm going to let Josh answer your question, and then we're going to talk with Mark. Okay, go ahead.
I grew up watching MASH with my sister. I didn't even realize you were one of the writers. Thank you so much. I love that show. What was your best episode? Which episode did you enjoy writing the most for when you were writing for the MASH TV series?
No,
I didn't.
No, no. Unfortunately, no. I think you might have the wrong one there. No, she was an actress on the show, and Gary Berghoff was, of course, played Radar O'Reilly. Was the person who he had a crush on you, and basically he got bad advice from Hawkeye and from Trapper with regards to how to handle that. Or was it BJ? It was BJ to handle that situation. But now that you brought that up, let's talk about the read. and we talked about this a couple times, where you sat there and you're a guest for the show, and you're sitting around Ellen Alda, Gary Berghoff, all these major actors. What was that like, and how did they treat you when you were there?
Well, they were just so wonderful and gracious. I was the new kid in town. You know, I was a young actress who had just come from New York. And when I walked in, I had never seen the show. So I knew Harry Morgan from old movies, but basically I did not know who anyone was. I had been in Japan. I had been in New York. So they're all like, let him sit next to me. Let him sit next to me. Let him. Well, anyway, so I sat down, and they were just so kind. But you know what was so amazing? And this is something that I know Mark and Eileen, we've dealt with, because doing the show, and you see what works, you see what doesn't work. On this first read, the actors, after we did our general reading, the actors would say, like Gary said, no way am I going to say that. I'm not going to say that to her because it's just not going to work. No way would she go out with me if I said that. So the writers were like, well, what would you say? So it was very collaborative, and they understood that the actors knew their characters, and they received what the actors said, and then they came back the next day with the script. And that's what's been so beautiful also about Mike and Mindy. It's been ever evolving. And Mark, hi Mark, are you on the line?
Hi everyone.
I want to say thank you. I don't know, Pete, if you saw it, but when we did the show initially in the Players Theater, Mark wrote a rap for Pat and Claire.
That's right.
We are the parents of Mike, and it's our favorite part of the show. It's so much fun. So I want to thank Mark personally for doing that, because they watched and they're like, you know what? We got to give Pat and Claire, the parents of Mike, a number. So I love it. It's so much fun. So you
I
got
think
to
we
all
wrote
come.
that number specifically for you, Peggy.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, it definitely works. You actually did it. You had a stretch over at the Miss Senior America pageant, and you and Jeff went on, and you had a stretch because I guess the girls were dressing and
4
stuff.
hours. We emceed something that was supposed to go 2 hours. It was 4 hours. We sang everything. We pitched everything. We told jokes. So we hopefully people are going to come November 30th, because we shared about this special event, and it is at 54 Below.
That is right, at 7 p.m. That's November 30th. And it'll be Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. And I believe, Mark, you wrote this, right? Is that you?
It's true. I'm the co-writer with Eileen Nelson, and I think Peggy has definitely covered a lot of the basis in terms of the journey and the trajectory. And November 30th is going to be really a concert. So it's an abbreviated version of the show where people will come together and get to hear, the story arc, but it'll be told through music, which will be fantastic.
Yes, in fact, I'm sorry that Eileen couldn't be on the call. She's very talented, and again, another one of my cousins, Josh. So I happen to be around people by marriage, by the way, that I kind of married up. You know, I married up into this entertainment field of individuals. But it's a great show, folks. I will tell you, I did see it at the Players Club. I loved it. It was an intimate location, but the music was amazing. And of course, we just learned about how the music was created. Peggy told us how that was done. And remember, 54 Below. That used to be the old, what is
Studio
it?
54.
Studio 54. Listen, Mark, I snuck in once, okay? Just once. I only got in once because that was the only way I can get in was by sneaking in. But did you ever go to Studio 54? Did you ever get in there?
So I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I'm slightly younger than the Studio 54 generation.
Oh, no.
Mark.
I did do the New York City club scene, Pete, but it was after the 54 crowd.
But Mark, you went to 54 Below when you did the Grease reunion.
Well, I did see 54 Below and have been in that venue, which is really great. And I was able to. We did take in Cabaret when they brought Cabaret back to Broadway and held it at the actual Studio 54, which was converted into a theater, which was really cool. And that was the first time I had ever actually stepped foot into the nightclub.
And Mark is also an actor, though, Pete. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
to, he
Well-
was in the show.
Well, yeah, he
is
was in the
Michael
show.
Mendes.
I remember seeing him in the show. Of course, I was there. In fact, I've seen it several times. In fact, I actually was there when you were at the Jersey Shore in Seaside when you did that. I was at the Broadway thing that they were doing.
Broadway meets the beach.
Exactly.
Yes, Broadway meets the beach.
And I was there too as well, which was really great. I was just telling Peggy that at the end I come up and you wanted us to some of the people that sing the song. One of the songs that you sang, and I sang, and I thought I was like auditioning. I thought maybe, well, listen, if I did this really well, maybe they'll put me in the show. But but Peggy says no, unfortunately, she's not the casting
I don't have
director.
a role for a radio producer, Pete. I don't have a role for a radio producer.
Well, listen, I just did Beautiful, and I did Don Kirshner for a production of what is it? What did I just say?
I saw
the
12
show,
Jurors, 12 Angry Jurors.
The show Beautiful. I actually did Don Kirshner. So, but I can play other things. Okay, but and thank you so much. I don't know if you know this, folks, but I did a production. It was a community production, but it was a great production. We loved it. It was called 12 Angry Jurors in Bridgewater, New Jersey. I got called. One of the directors there. They know me. I've done shows before on and off Broadway. Well, not on Broadway, but off Broadway or in summer stock. And she called me up and wanted me to do 12 Angry Jurors. That's fantastic. And then I got my daughter involved because she loves doing theater as well. So this was the first time in about 20 years that I actually got on stage with my daughter in a production, which was really pretty darn cool. It was so great.
Yeah.
We had an amazing time. It was an amazing event. And the most nervous I got. Okay, again, I've done 600, 1,000 seat theaters. I've done all this stuff. But when I knew that Peggy Lee and Jeff were coming to see the show, I will tell you, I needed some Valium, okay, or something, because here I am with the MASH gal, okay.
Pete, when Peggy Lee and Jeff are in the show with me, I need some Valium.
Well, Mark, you got to be with your daughter as well. Isn't that very special when you get to? Because we have a daughter,
Pete, isn't it?
It's so wonderful, and it's like you don't want it to end. We had 4 weekends. We had 4 weekends of the show. A total of, I think it was 12 shows, and. I was hoping it would never end because it was so much fun to share the stage with my daughter, who, by the way, is an amazing actress. Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah, it is. My daughter just left me for college, and I'm missing her very much, and she unfortunately can't be. She's up at Berklee College of Music now.
Oh, okay.
Further pursuing her dream. Alex Corallo, if anybody out there is hearing on TikTok.
She's a TikTok sensation.
She's a TikTok famer, and so she will be up at school doing her thing, and I will be missing her. But Pete, sharing the sentiments with you. It's a wonderful opportunity. I think Peg has the opportunity to share the stage with Jeff and husband and wife duo, which is really cool. And then when you also have the opportunity to share the stage with your child, it's a very different experience, but also very cool.
This is true.
It is.
And while we're talking, yes, and while we're talking about Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam, you just mentioned that we're going to have a little bit of a cast change, obviously, for on November 30th when you are at 54 Below in New York City. Tell me about this cast because I love them. They're just great. The people that you have. I know you changed a few, but overall, tell me about as many as you want to, the cast that you have and how you got them, because they're all very talented.
Yeah. Well, I think in this particular case, we really gave the lead to Bucky Hurd and Timothy Lee because since this is a concert, the focus is really on the vocals. And in all transparency, the reality is just some of our original cast, it was not available.
Yes.
So we then had to turn to Bucky and say, all right, we really need some individuals who, within the amount of time that we have to rehearse, can really, catch
learn
up
the music.
Because so many of the cast have, so many individuals have been doing the show for so long that when you get into the rehearsal process, especially for the time frame that we have, it's not too much of a heavy lift. But if you're bringing in new individuals, and they don't know the script and they don't know the lyrics, then it is a bit of a heavier lift. So we really handed it over to Bucky in that sense, and he knows some amazing individuals. So for Bucky, this will be the first time that he'll be sharing the stage with his daughter, And ironically, she'll be taking my daughter's role.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be a great experience for him. We have Stephanie Alpert, I believe she's coming in from Jefferson Starship. Her husband is from the Little River Band,
Wow.
Chris. We have Carmen Romano. We have our leads, Austin Michael and Bethany McDonald. We have Peg and Jeff and myself.
They're amazing. I tell you
Marie
what,
Grace as well.
I'm telling you, talk about an all-star
And
cast.
Marie Grace Ferreira, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, she will be joining us as well.
Talk about an all-star
Incredible.
cast. I'm telling you, folks, again, if you're not doing anything, got to come down. That's going to be November 30th for the concert of Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam, 7 p.m., 54 below. And we'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over the face, push and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders!
Help us help first responders in your community today. Go to firstrcf.org to learn more.
And we're back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco here at WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio Philadelphia on a beautiful Saturday afternoon with, of course, my producer, my top producer here, and that would be Josh. We're just so happy to be here. We're talking about a show. Okay, we're talking about acting in general. We've talked about everything pretty much, whether it's in Atlantic City or Vegas or New York City or Philadelphia. Or even Jalen Hurts. We've talked about him too because, of course, Peggy knows everyone, and including this person. So Peggy, while I'm talking with Mark, see if you can get Jeff to come to the phone. I want to say a couple things to Jeff too, your husband, because I tell you guys make a great combination. So Mark, now. We've lost a few people that are not going to be in this concert, but we still have the two. We still have Mike and Mindy, okay, and those characters. They're just amazing. I've been watching their career and what they've been doing. They're just extremely busy. How did you get them? Where did you find them?
That's a great question, Pete. Austin was really a friend of both Peggy and Bucky Hurts, and they have known him for an extremely long time. And when Eileen and we are so grateful to him as an actor for what he has brought, as well as his commitment to the project. He has been with us from the very beginning.
Uh-huh.
And when Eileen and I first started auditioning this, I know Peggy had mentioned it when it started as a jukebox musical, came in and auditioned for us then.
Okay.
And we knew right then and there we had found our Mike, and has just been with us the entire time. And he has had other amazing opportunities. He has performed in Jersey Boys, on cruise ships. He is just such a well-known actor, and it's Austin Michael. For anyone who has not heard of him, he's a wonderful talent. And then he actually met Miss Bethany McDonald and introduced us to her. And we auditioned her for the role of Mindy. When we had first started the original Jukebox musical, we had a different actress. And then when we had created Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam, going to original music, Bethany auditioned for us and has been such a breath of fresh air ever since. She now is on national tour with Pretty Woman.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. And again, is just an amazing talent. And if you go to the Mike and Mindy's wildweekendjam.com website, you can see both actors. And if you click on our music section, you'll be able to hear them sing and actually see them.
And that's great. That's fantastic. And, I have a suggestion for you. Okay. Philadelphians love concerts and they love theater. Okay. We've got some great theaters here after you're doing it in New York City, is there any chance you could bring it over to Philadelphia so our guests here and our listeners?
Trabucco, you find a venue and we're there.
Yes.
Okay, I will. You put me in charge of that. I will try to find you a venue here because I think it'll be a great show, and we've got some pretty good theaters here that we can actually go ahead and do. So yeah, that'd be my job. Okay, I'll see if I can handle that for you.
Yes. How about it's the Schubert in Philly? When we did Grease at the Schubert in Philly, they just kept bringing us back. I love Philly audiences.
Well, there you go.
Walnut Theater. There's great
exactly.
theaters. What a great. Okay, Mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to
Peggy,
work.
it would be fun to hit Philly.
Yeah, well, I've worked the Walnut Theater once, so and by the way, Peggy, if they know you, I'm just going to bring you along and say, look, this is Peggy, okay? You remember her, and maybe that'll help us out. But we definitely got to get you here in Philly. I know you're doing well in New York City, but we got to get you. And again, 54 below,
it.
that'd be great.
We would love it.
So we'd love that. Now,
Say hello. He's here.
Jeff, where are you, Jeff?
Hey guys.
Okay, Jeff. This is a story I want to tell you. It's really funny as heck. In the show that I was in, okay, which was 12 Angry Jurors, we had the cast party afterwards, right? And we had, I believe it was Dave that came over to you, okay? And he was the lead in the show, okay? Well, one of the leads in the show. And I'll tell you something. I am impressed, Jeff. I'm impressed with you because you are very talented. You and Peggy make a fantastic couple together. And this guy kept knocking you and doing things, basically. And you're just sitting there like you're laughing your head off. And you're thinking, oh, my goodness, I'll play this serious with this guy. Okay. He had no clue, basically, how talented you were. I told him later, but, he felt embarrassed about it. But how did you do that? How did you keep a straight face when he's like saying, "Wow, you married Peggy? Yeah, what's that like? Being a person who marries someone so famous, and how do you deal with that?" And you're just laughing. How did you deal with that stuff?
Oh, that was nothing. I love he's a funny guy.
He is.
I love a good joke. Period. You want to go start riffing? You know what? You know why the Jews are the funniest people on the planet? Because they do self-deprecating humor, and it can't. And I don't care if and that's self-deprecating.
That way.
So if someone wants to riff on me, I don't care if I'm the brunt of the joke. Is it funny? I'm going with it. Period.
Yeah. Well, you guys hit it off pretty well, and I tell you, I know Peggy got a real kick out of him as well, which is funny. But it was great. So we were talking about how you both met, okay? And you met in Atlantic City, I believe, during one of the was it Applause? Was that the show? I believe. Do you remember? Are you there? Oh, I think I lost you. Okay, so Mark, we lost them. So I guess we're gonna.
I'm still here with you, Pete.
Are you back? Okay. Did you hear the question?
Yes. No, because we lost you. Okay. Go ahead.
So I have to ask you. There you are. You're on stage in Atlantic City. I guess it was in the 80s. Okay, and you're alongside this lovely young lady. Okay, I believe the show was Applause, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask the question.
Phyllis McGuire, the McGuire
and Phyllis McGuire and the McGuire sisters are there. Okay, so I should ask the same question. So what was it like being in the presence of Peggy Lee Brennon?
little slappy peg.
No, when I saw Peggy, it was like looking at Gidget meets Goldie Hawn in Laughing. I said, how bad can that be?
That was great.
She was like Barbie doll personified, and she had this cutest, sweetest spirit, and
she still does. She still does.
She laughed at my jokes. And she was so funny, didn't even know it half the time.
Yeah.
But so we started laughing the day we met and never stopped.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for it.
And of course, you're actually playing husband and wife in the Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Gem. And I believe Mark, we talked about this earlier. Mark put together a nice little, I don't know, what we call that, a rap. That really was
a rap. Well, it's a rap and tap duo, and I've kind of seen Jeff. I saw Jeff do a rap once at his niece's wedding.
Okay.
And I saw him break into a character that I had never seen before.
Okay.
And that was the initial idea of then switching the rap. There was another actress in the show at the time. The show started out with several actors, more actors than we have now. And you know, as Peggy had mentioned, we're always in development. And so over time, you know, because Peg and Jeff's characters are just so hilarious, we had said, what could be something really funny? Like, they already come into the show tapping.
Uh-huh.
And we said, what can make this better but to give them the rap and make them a rap and tap duo? So they're a vaudeville act that raps. And it's just hilarious. When we did it at the Reed, it brought the house down because people were not expecting it at all.
That's true. Well, believe it or not, I'm going to put you guys on the spot, okay? Can you do a little bit of the rap for me right now on I guess, live on tape, if you can do that? Put the phone between you two and just give us just a line or two from the show using the rap. Go ahead.
with Mark's permission.
With Mark's permission, Mark.
Absolutely.
And Mark, if you want to join in too, you can do that as well. Go ahead.
No. This is all Peggy and Jeff. Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Hey, mister, you got something to say? You do. No way, say. We don't play. Yo, have a seat, Mr. Music B, because we're about to give you a fat and clear treat when you hang with us, all the people there, because we're the ones rapping with style and flair. That's right, don't judge, because we don't care. Yo, Mama said, look, hey, what up here? Holla.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Now, just imagine, folks.
And they're tapping.
And just imagine, folks, they're tapping while they're doing this. And if I recall, you have very colorful outfits when you do this as well. Okay?
Well, Mark, I have to thank you because I did not know that story that you saw me doing a rap. Was that at Kristen's wedding?
It was.
I can't even remember doing that. I cannot remember doing that.
That's when I said, I need to shift gears.
That is a riot.
You have to go in depth of that story sometime because I literally do not remember that event. I mean, doing that, period.
You had a bunch of young kids around you, and you kind of jumped in with them, and you started doing these really funny moves, and you were rapping with them. And I said, "Well, there's my answer." And
you know what? You know what's so interesting, Mark? That shows your genius because you have to find people what they're good at, and take and exploit that. And obviously, you know, great directors have said, at the very least, 80 to 90% of directing is casting, but you were like, obviously you jump in as needed. You say people do this and that, but you were also the writer and one of the co-stars of the show, and I mean, so
very kind of you.
And again, you know this benefit. You guys pulled, you know, your partner said, "Well, my sister's gonna," but you guys wrote those characters around us.
Yeah,
to a large extent.
I did. We did. We definitely wrote the characters
around. But then when you saw the rap
thing,
sure. Boom, you just put it in.
And that's true. You did write.
Yeah.
You did put all the. And when you get a radio broadcaster or a lieutenant or a mafia guy, you're going to write me in, right? You're going to write me into that stuff, okay? Because I can play any of those roles, okay?
Pete, I'm not know you were connected. Any sense or any way that you want to be in the show.
I don't know.
Pete's connected. Be nice to Pete.
I mean, it could be Mike and Mindy get arrested or something, you know, and I could be the cop, you know. I could sing a song, you know, kind of like whatever, like. So anyway,
I mean, it is a brand. You could go on and on. You could have Mike and Mindy Long Weekend Barbecue. I mean, it could go on and on.
Mike and Mindy win. I guess they're on the radio show getting interviewed for some. Who knows what? Whatever. But let's get back to your show. Let's get back to it. Folks, if you're just tuning in, we are talking with Peggy Lee Brennon, and that is Jeff Haber, as well as with Mark Carrillo. They are, well, actually, all three are actors, and Mark is the director to a show and now a concert called Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. It'll be November 30th at 7 p.m. at 54 Below. Now, for those of you that remember Studio 54, it's the same building. Okay, but it's a little bit different, obviously. It's called 50. It's at 54 Below, and it's a great show. And we've got some of the people here that are involved with it. We've talked about the production and the programs, and it's going to be great. And I mentioned to Mark, and I'll mention to you, Jeff. I'm going to try to see if we can get you in Philly, man. We got to get you here because I tell you, it's a great show.
Walnut Street Theater.
Yeah, there you go. The Schubert, or maybe the Walnut Theater, or maybe some of the other theaters would be very happy to get that. So we'll see what we can do, and that's a little bit down the road, but it's fantastic. Okay, so we have a little time left. Now, not too long ago, a week and a half ago, okay, we had the writer's strike, and then later on we had the actor's strike. Writer's strike has been taken care of, and now the actor's strike, as of 2 Thursdays ago, is actually gone too. What was that like when you were doing this? Because I know a lot of you, this is your business. This is what you do. This is your life. And you're not getting calls anymore. How did you all deal with that? How did you all deal with that strike?
Peg, Jeff, do you want to go first?
Well, you know what? Jeff and I have a club act called Broadway to Hollywood that we are able to do. It's, a variety act, so it's not SAG or Actors Equity. So we're grateful. That's one thing that I learned early on in the business when I got to do that Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance with Cab Calloway, the Nicholas brothers. Many actors put together an act. So when things like that happen, when you aren't getting union jobs or getting to go out with a show, you can always have something you fall back on. So I'm very grateful we're able to do our Broadway to Hollywood. We do Broadway and Hollywood classics. We sing and tap dance. So we do our act, and that's something that a lot of actors do. But I'm very grateful that things are going to be opening up again, and we're Actors Equity, so we were able to do the show, Mike and Mindy originally. They worked out with the contract at Players Theater, and hopefully we'll get to be doing our preview for the show in Philly.
Sounds good. We'll definitely go ahead. Well, what about you, Mark? How have you been dealing with that now that it's finally over?
Well, to be honest with you, I've really been putting all of my eggs in this basket at this point in time because I think both myself and my co-writer Eileen have said to ourselves during this period of time, let's really work on perfecting the script. And after we put up our read, as Peggy mentioned, it's in development, right? So and in the world of theater, it's definitely different than film and television. And it is all about what it looks like, and next steps. And so the read actually, luckily for us, happened before the strike, and we were able to get it up in front of producers and get some feedback. And so during that time, Eileen and I were really just working on perfecting the script and making it even tighter. So in theory, it didn't really affect us, too much, which we're grateful for.
Good. So now, what would you tell up-and-coming actors and directors that are trying to get into the business? Now, obviously, it's a tough business, as you know. What advice? And I'll take all three of you at this question. So I'll start with you, Mark, since you're there, and then I'll ask the same questions for Peggy and for Jeff. What do they need to do in order to stay in this business, be good at it, and be successful?
I think there's a couple of pieces. I think I could speak to the industry and to the humanistic piece. I think to the humanistic piece, be humble, be open, create a community. A lot of it has to do with relationship development and getting your work out there. It depends on whether you're a writer or actor or what your specific goals are. I think Peg and Jeff can speak more to the acting piece. I think as a writer, writing is a process, and it is about continuously writing and rewriting and writing and rewriting and just never giving up and making sure that you develop relationships with individuals who can support you in your journey and where you can receive that feedback and help you to move the work forward. I think in any business, if you want to be successful, it's all about relationship development. It's all about being kind, and it's all about being open. That would be my advice. Great.
Okay, Peggy, you're up. Tell us.
Great, Mark. I agree with all of that. I would also say ever evolving in your skills, keeping your skills up, whether it's, I see Mark and Eileen are always rewriting, always trying to make it the best. If you're an actor, keeping your skills up, taking classes. If you're a singer, vocalizing, doing the work, dancing. Yes, it is about following through on relationships. And it's also creating vehicles for yourself that you're able to do in between gigs, like putting together an act or putting together a one-woman show, a one-man show, writing a script for yourself and trying to get it out there. But it's ever-evolving. And as we taught our daughter, it's dominating with kindness, because kindness and character count, and being humble, never thinking you're above and beyond anything or anyone.
That's right.
So
Peggy, and I'm sorry for interrupting that. I just wanted to say, I think, Pete, just for the show, and then Peggy, please continue. The whole theme of the show is exactly that. Peg and Jeff have managed to sustain a career, but they've kind of navigated life in such a way to make that work for themselves. And I have a full-time job and have taken this on after. And so the general premise of the show is just keep believing as well, and don't give up.
Yes. Okay, so we got a little time. Jeff, do you have anything to add to this before we go to break?
I really don't, except Peggy stole my thunder, because I'm the one who told Talina to dominate with kindness, and Peg jumped on it, took my line.
Oh.
But the other thing is, most and Mark stole my other line, which is integrity. So, because especially in entertainment, I don't have to talk about integrity as much with Helena, because she went into the medical field, and that's a service field, and so it's kind of like what Mark does in his job. There's a certain degree of integrity built into the job description, but with entertainment, integrity is something that can often get really lost in the process.
Uh-huh.
And if you lose your integrity, it doesn't matter what you accomplish, because I was friends with Sam Jackson, and he in his early years, his wife had to literally saved his life, because he died of a cocaine overdose. He was dead in their kitchen from a cocaine overdose, and she miraculously got him back to life. The police came and picked him up and took him, and he went to rehab, and God bless him, he got it together, and he had a phenomenal career after that. And he changed the way he was living. But this man was he was right on the cusp of becoming he was like B-list by then, knocking on the door of A-list. And but he had to get his life together in order to literally be alive. And that's an extreme case of someone I was good friends with, and still but not, he does. We haven't hung together much since he ended up out in a big house and behind the gates in Hollywood, but
all right.
Hollywood Hills. But it is important you have to keep your integrity no matter what you do. Period. That's
true.
What you compromise to keep, you lose.
That's true.
Personally, it's the family that prays together stays together. Family is huge too.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LIFEVAC.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve. Go to afreserve.com for more information.
And we're back to wrap up over here live on tape with Pete Trabucco, WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. We are talking with Peggy Lee Brennon and Jeff Hebera, as well as Mark Carrillo, with regards to the production of Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. There'll be a concert. It'll be November 30th at 54 Below, New York City, starting at 7 p.m. It's a great show. They've done it several times, and I guarantee this is going to probably end up being a national thing somewhere along the line. And, yes, it will be coming to Philadelphia if I have anything to do with it. So we got a couple minutes left. Oh, no problem. And I've got a couple minutes left. So I want I guess, Mark, to tell us the websites, everything we need to know about this show and about everything that goes on. Thank you. We got about a minute and a half.
Absolutely. Okay, so you can absolutely check us out at www.Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. That's our website. You can also follow us on Instagram at Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. If anyone is interested in coming to the show, you could certainly get tickets at our website. There's a link as soon as you log in, or you can get our tickets on 54 Below. You can certainly do a Google search on that and grab the tickets there as well. Again, the show is Thursday, November 30th. The show starts at 7 p.m. Doors open between 5 and 5:30, and you can come and have dinner and grab a bite before we actually go on.
Well, thank you so much. And that about wraps it up for this version of Live on Tape. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
God bless.